Hello everyone, welcome to Six Path Weeb. Today, we'll be exploring an intriguing fanfiction concept. What if Naruko was Naruto's rival? Disclaimer, the content presented on this channel is intended solely for entertainment and discussion. I do not claim ownership of any anime footage featured in my videos. All rights and credits belong to the original creators and copyright holders. Let's dive in. The wind howled through the village of Konoha, carrying the scent of autumn leaves and the distant laughter of children. At the edge of the training grounds, two shadows darted between trees, their movement swift and full of purpose. One was Naruto Uzumaki, the loud, determined boy everyone knew, his bright orange jacket a blur as he pushed forward. But right beside him, matching his speed step for step, was Naruko Uzumaki. Unlike Naruto's wild energy, Naruko's focus was sharp and steady, her dark eyes glowing with a quiet confidence that few had seen before. Naruto had always been the village's spirited underdog, the one who never gave up. But Naruko? She was his greatest challenge yet. Not because she was stronger or louder, but because she was clever, always 2 steps ahead, ready to surprise him when he least expected it. Catch me if you can. Naruko called over her shoulder, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. Naruto grinned widely, excitement bubbling in his chest. This wasn't just a race. It was a test, a friendly rivalry that pushed them both to be better. But today, something felt different. As they neared the top of the hill overlooking the village, Naruko suddenly stopped, her gaze fixed on a small figure struggling near the training dummies. Without hesitation, Naruto slowed, curiosity tugging at him. This moment wasn't about winning anymore. It was about what came next, something neither of them could have predicted. Naruto and Naruko exchanged a quick glance before sprinting toward the figure. As they drew closer, they could see it was a young girl, no older than them, tangled awkwardly in her training ropes. Her cheeks were flushed red from effort and embarrassment, and her bright eyes looked up at them with a mix of frustration and determination. "Hey, do you need some help?" Naruko asked, already stepping forward to untangle the knots. Naruto crouched down beside her, rubbing the back of his neck nervously. "Yeah, what's your name?" The girl blinked, then smiled shyly. "I'm Aki. I just moved here." Naruko finished loosening the ropes and stood up, offering her hand. "Welcome to Konoha, Aki. Don't worry, we all struggle at first." Naruto grinned wide. "Yeah. And if you want, we can train together. I'm Naruto, and this is Naruko." Aki hesitated for a moment, then nodded, her smile growing brighter. "Thanks. I'd like that." As the three of them walked back toward the training course, the crisp morning air seemed to buzz with new possibilities. Naruto and Naruko, usually rivals, found themselves sharing a new kind of excitement, a chance to learn and grow together with someone who needed them. For the first time, their competition felt less about beating each other and more about helping others become their best. Naruko glanced at Naruto and winked. "Looks like we've got a new teammate to challenge us." Naruto laughed. "Bring it on." The training ground buzzed with energy as the morning sun climbed higher, casting playful shadows on the uneven dirt path where Naruto and Naruko usually raced. But now, with Aki joining them, the scene felt different, more exciting, more unpredictable. Naruto stretched his arms with a big grin. "All right, Naruko, let's see if you're still faster than me." Naruko smirked, her eyes gleaming with determination. "You're on. But don't think I'm going easy just because Aki's here." Aki watched them, her curiosity sparkling. She admired how Naruto's enthusiasm was so contagious and how Naruko's calm confidence made her seem like the perfect strategist. "I want to learn from both of you," she said shyly. "Can I try the course too?" Naruto bounced on his toes. "Of course. This is going to be awesome." The obstacle course was full of twists, climbs, and small puzzles designed to challenge ninja skills without danger. They had to jump over low walls, weave through poles, balance across beams, and finish with a quick puzzle that tested their sharpness. The last one was Naruko's favorite, she always solved it first. "Ready?" Naruko asked, stepping to the start line. "Ready," Naruto and Aki said together. Naruto took off first, his movements fast but a bit wild. He made the jumps with raw energy, sometimes stumbling but always bouncing back. Naruko followed, precise and smooth, using every ounce of control she had. Aki was last, cautious at first, but her determination grew with each step. When they reached the final puzzle, Naruko's fingers flew over the symbols, connecting patterns faster than anyone could blink. Naruto paused, panting, and then laughed. "Wow, you're amazing at this." Naruko grinned, but before she could celebrate, Naruto's eyes caught something in the corner of the course, a small, hidden lever. Without thinking, he pulled it, and a secret door creaked open, revealing a narrow passage lined with glowing crystals. Naruko's eyes widened. Where did that come from? Aki stepped forward, her voice filled with wonder. Let's check it out. The three friends crawled into the passage, excitement bubbling up as the walls shimmered softly. The tunnel twisted and turned, leading them to a small chamber filled with ancient scrolls and strange devices. Naruto picked up a scroll and squinted at the symbols. These look like old ninja techniques. Naruko carefully unrolled another. Maybe this is something we can learn together. Aki smiled shyly. This could be our secret training spot. We can help each other get stronger. Naruto looked at Naruko, the friendly rivalry in his eyes mixed with something new, a feeling of teamwork that didn't weaken their challenge but made it even more thrilling. Race you to master these, Naruto said with a grin. Naruko laughed. You're on. From that day on, the secret chamber beneath the training grounds became their special place, a hidden world where Naruto, and Aki met every afternoon. The ancient scrolls scattered on the dusty wooden floor weren't just old papers, they were treasure maps to new skills, clever tricks, and playful challenges only the three of them could unlock. Naruto loved the thrill of trying every new jutsu he found, often rushing ahead with his typical fiery enthusiasm. Naruko, on the other hand, preferred to take her time, carefully studying each technique, breaking it down into small parts until she could do it perfectly. Aki balanced between the two, eager but thoughtful, always asking questions and offering fresh ideas. Their rivalry wasn't just about speed or strength anymore, it became a game of wits, creativity, and teamwork. One afternoon, Naruko suggested a challenge that made Naruto's eyes sparkle. How about we each invent a new move using what we learn here, then see whose is the coolest? She proposed. Naruto grinned wide, slapping his hands together. Deal. But I'm warning you, mine will be the best. Aki clapped her hands excitedly. I can't wait to see. Over the next week, the three friends worked tirelessly. Naruto practiced a move that let him create a swirl of leaves that danced around him, confusing anyone trying to guess where he would move next. Naruko, true to her style, invented a precise, graceful technique that allowed her to jump between shadows, almost disappearing before reappearing somewhere else. Aki's creation was a clever combination of both. She made small glowing orbs that floated around her, lighting up dark places and signaling friends without making noise. When they finally showed each other their new moves in the secret chamber, the air was thick with excitement. Naruto's leaves twirled wildly, Naruko disappeared into the shadows with a soft giggle, and Aki's glowing orbs floated gently like tiny stars. Naruto threw his arms wide. No way anyone can beat that. Naruko smiled but shook her head. It's not about beating each other, Naruto. It's about how much we learn from one another. Aki nodded in agreement. Together, we're unstoppable. Their rivalry had blossomed into something deeper, a friendship that made each of them stronger, more creative, and braver. And even though they still loved to compete, it was never about who won or lost. It was about the joy of the challenge, the thrill of discovery, and the bond they shared. The village of Konoha might have been full of great ninjas, but no one had a trio quite like Naruto, Naruko, and Aki, the rivals who became the best of friends. Life in Konoha was never dull, especially with Naruto, Naruko, and Aki around. Their friendly rivalry wasn't just confined to the secret chamber or the training grounds, it followed them everywhere, weaving itself into the fabric of their daily adventures. Every morning, the village woke to the cheerful noise of their footsteps echoing down the streets, as the trio raced to the marketplace, laughter trailing behind them. Vendors knew them well, not just as promising young ninjas but as playful competitors who turned even simple errands into exciting challenges. One sunny afternoon, the village announced a special event, the annual Konoha Festival. There would be games, contests, food stalls, and even a fun obstacle race through the village itself. For Naruto and Naruko, it was the perfect stage to test their skills and settle their friendly rivalry once more, with Aki cheering on both sides. Naruto's eyes shone with excitement. This is it. The big race. I'm going to win this time, Naruko. Naruko smirked confidently. We'll see about that. You better be ready to eat my dust. Aki giggled, already imagining the colorful crowds and the bustling festival stalls. I'm going to be the best cheerleader ever. When the race began, the village streets erupted with cheers. Naruto and Naruko dashed past excited villagers, leapt over barrels, and ducked under banners fluttering in the wind. Their rivalry pushed them to run faster and think smarter, Naruko's precise movements against Naruto's energetic bursts of speed. Halfway through the course, Naruto's eyes caught sight of a narrow alley filled with colorful decorations. Without hesitation, he took the shortcut, hoping to surprise Naruko. But Naruko anticipated his move and dashed through a side street that reconnected ahead, keeping pace effortlessly. The crowd gasped and cheered louder as the two friends neared the finish line, neck and neck. In the last moments, they both gave it their all, Naruto with a final burst of speed, Naruko with perfect balance on a tricky beam. When they crossed the finish line, panting but smiling, the village erupted in applause. The race ended in a tie. Naruto and Naruko looked at each other, breathless and laughing. "Looks like we're both winners," Naruko said. Naruto grinned. "Yeah, and that's way better than beating each other." Aki joined them, holding a tray of festival treats. "Let's celebrate with some dengo." As they enjoyed the sweet treats under the colorful festival lanterns, Naruto, Naruko, and Aki realized their rivalry wasn't just about competition, it was about friendship, fun, and growing together. And in the heart of Konoha, that made them the luckiest ninjas of all. The next morning, the sun spilled warm light over Konoha's rooftops as Naruto, Naruko, and Aki gathered near the village's central fountain. The festival had just ended, but the energy it brought lingered in the air like a happy echo. Today, they had something special planned, a scavenger hunt that Naruto had come up with, designed to test their teamwork, wit, and speed. "Okay, listen up," Naruto announced, pulling out a small parchment covered in clues. "We each hide something somewhere in the village, then the others have to find it. The first one to find both hidden items wins." Naruko raised an eyebrow, folding her arms. "You're going to regret challenging me, Naruto." Aki giggled. "This sounds like so much fun. Let's do it." The three split up, racing off to hide their secret items. Naruto chose a brightly colored kunai, sneaking it behind a stack of crates near the bakery. Naruko, clever as ever, hid her small scroll inside a hollow tree by the training grounds. Aki, with a sparkle of mischief, placed a glowing orb near the old well in the village square. Soon, the hunt began. Naruto darted through the winding alleys, eyes sharp for any sign of the hidden objects. Naruko moved with quiet precision, analyzing every corner and shadow. Aki followed her instincts, trusting her keen sense of observation. Along the way, villagers cheered them on, amused by the spirited chase. Even the shopkeepers paused to offer helpful hints or snacks to keep their energy up. It wasn't just a game, it was a celebration of their friendship and the joy of living in Konoha. Naruto's boundless energy helped him spot the glowing orb near the well first, but Naruko's careful search uncovered Naruto's kunai before he could find hers. Aki's clever hiding spot kept her scroll safe the longest, but eventually, it was Naruko's sharp eyes that spotted it inside the hollow tree. Breathless and laughing, the three friends regrouped near the fountain. "That was amazing," Aki said, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Naruto grinned. "Yeah. I didn't think you'd be able to find my kunai so fast." Naruko smiled, nudging him gently. "You're getting better, Naruto. But next time, I'm going to make my hiding spot even trickier." The day faded into evening, and the village lights twinkled like stars as they sat together sharing stories and planning their next adventure. Their rivalry was still there, bright and playful, but it was clear that it was only one part of something much bigger, a friendship that made every day in Konoha feel like a new journey waiting to begin. As the stars twinkled above Konoha, Naruto, Naruko, and Aki lay on the grassy hill overlooking the village, the cool breeze carrying the soft sounds of night. The festival lights were now tiny flickers far below, and the world felt quiet and endless. Naruto was the first to break the silence, his voice full of excitement. "I want to be Hokage one day, the strongest ninja who protects everyone. I want to show the village that anyone can be a hero, no matter what." Naruko nodded thoughtfully. "That's a big dream. I want to be just as strong, but I think I'd like to be a strategist, someone who helps the village by thinking ahead, making plans that keep everyone safe. Strength isn't just about power, it's about smarts too." Aki smiled softly, her eyes reflecting the stars. "I want to be a healer. I want to help people, not just by fighting but by making sure they're okay afterward. Being strong means caring for others." Naruto turned to Naruko, a sparkle in his eyes. "Sounds like we all have something important to work on. Maybe our rivalry can help us get there." Naruko laughed quietly. "Yeah. You pushing me to be faster and braver, and me making you think more before you act, it's a good balance." Aki reached out and squeezed their hands. "And I'll be right here to support you both. We're a team, after all." They sat together in comfortable silence, each imagining the future. Their rivalry wasn't about tearing each other down but building each other up, piece by piece. It was the spark that made their dreams shine brighter and their steps firmer. In the days that followed, Naruto practiced harder than ever, perfecting his energetic moves with new focus. Naruko studied ancient scrolls, her mind sharp as she created new strategies for their training. Aki learned about herbs and medicines, her hands steady and gentle. Their friendly competitions continued, sometimes racing, sometimes solving puzzles, sometimes just sharing ideas, but always with respect, laughter, and a promise to grow together. And in the heart of Konoha, under the watchful gaze of the moon, 3 young ninjas dreamed big, knowing that with each other, there was no limit to what they could become. One bright morning, as the village was just waking up, Naruto and Naruko found themselves summoned to the Hokage's office. The air was thick with excitement and nerves, no one had ever been called there without a serious reason. When they entered, they saw an unfamiliar figure sitting calmly behind the desk. "Welcome, Naruto, Naruko," the man said with a warm smile. His robes were simple but carried the marks of experience, a long white beard, kind eyes, and a calm presence that made the room feel peaceful. "I am Master Hiroto, once a ninja of Konoha and now here to guide promising young talents like you." Naruto's eyes sparkled. "A mentor? Really? That's awesome." Naruko bowed respectfully. "We're honored, Master Hiroto." Master Hiroto stood, his voice steady. "I've watched you both train and compete. Your rivalry is impressive, but there's much more you can learn, about teamwork, strategy, and the true heart of being a ninja." Over the next weeks, Master Hiroto led Naruto and Naruko through new lessons. They practiced using chakra in creative, non-violent ways, like shaping it to create illusions that help them understand each other's movements, or focusing it to build small protective barriers around themselves. Naruko's strategic mind flourished under his guidance, learning how to anticipate moves and stay calm under pressure. Naruto's enthusiasm was refined, teaching him to control his energy and channel it with purpose. Aki often joined, adding her healing knowledge to the mix, turning their sessions into a well-rounded training experience. One afternoon, Master Hiroto presented a special challenge. "Today, you will work together to navigate the Hidden Garden, a maze designed to test your trust, communication, and creativity. No rushing or competing against each other. The goal is to help one another reach the center." Naruto looked at Naruko, their usual spark of rivalry softening into understanding. "Ready?" Naruko nodded. "Let's do this, together." Inside the maze, they faced puzzles that required teamwork, Naruko's sharp thinking guiding Naruto through tricky paths, Naruto's quick reflexes helping Naruko avoid traps, and Aki's healing touch keeping their spirits high. By the time they reached the center, their bond had grown stronger than ever. Master Hiroto smiled. "You've learned the greatest lesson of all, strength comes from friendship and trust." Naruto grinned, feeling a new sense of pride. Naruko smiled back, knowing their rivalry was no longer about winning or losing, but about growing side by side. The day of the Konoha Harmony Festival had arrived, and the entire village buzzed with excitement. Unlike the usual bustling festivals, this one celebrated cooperation and creativity, 2 qualities that Naruto, Naruko, and Aki had been learning to treasure more and more. Colorful banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and the streets were lined with booths offering puzzles, games, and demonstrations of ninja skills, all designed to bring the villagers together in fun and friendship. Naruto tightened his headband, eyes shining with determination. "This is our chance to show what we've learned. I want to impress everyone." Naruko smiled, adjusting her sleeves. "And maybe surprise you with some new moves I've been practicing." Aki giggled, holding a basket filled with glowing orbs she'd made to light up the festival paths. "Let's make this the best festival Konoha has ever seen." Their first challenge was the Teamwork Tower, a towering structure built from blocks that required clever planning and steady hands to build as high as possible without toppling. Naruto's raw energy helped move the larger blocks quickly, while Naruko's steady focus ensured each piece fit perfectly. Aki's gentle hands and sharp eyes spotted balance points others missed. Villagers gathered around, cheering as the trio worked seamlessly, their friendly rivalry turning into perfect harmony. When the tower reached its peak, sturdy and tall, a cheer erupted that made their hearts swell with pride. Next came the Shadow Maze, a playful contest where teams had to navigate paths using only shadows cast by lanterns, testing their ability to read subtle clues and trust each other's guidance. Naruko's love for puzzles shone here as she led Naruto and Aki carefully through tricky turns. Naruto's quick reflexes helped dodge surprises, and Aki's glowing orbs illuminated hidden hints. Together, they reached the maze's end with wide smiles, greeted by applause from the villagers who admired their teamwork. Finally, The trio performed a synchronized display of their new jutsu, Naruto's swirling leaf dance, Naruko's shadow leaps, and Aki's floating orbs, creating a shimmering light show that painted the evening sky. As the festival lights twinkled around them, Naruto turned to Naruko and Aki. "I think this is what being a ninja really means, helping each other shine." Naruko nodded. "Rivalry or not, we're strongest when we're together." Aki beamed. "And that makes every day an adventure." The festival ended with laughter, music, and promises of more challenges ahead. For Naruto, Naruko, and Aki, the Harmony Festival was more than a celebration, it was a new beginning. The morning sunlight poured over the village of Konoha, painting the rooftops gold and the streets alive with energy. In the heart of the village, where the training grounds stretched out like a sprawling playground, two figures faced off with that familiar spark of rivalry lighting their eyes. Naruto Uzumaki, with his signature orange jacket and wild blonde hair, bounced on the balls of his feet, his smile wide and confident. Across from him stood Naruko Uzumaki, not just a reflection of Naruto, but a fierce rival who matched his energy with sharp wit and unyielding determination. Her bright blue eyes narrowed playfully, and the corners of her mouth curled up into a sly grin. "Ready to lose again?" Naruko teased, stretching her arms. "I've been practicing since yesterday." Naruto laughed, brushing his hair back. "You wish. I'm faster, stronger, and smarter, don't forget that last one." Their friends often joked that the rivalry between Naruto and Naruko was the heartbeat of the village's training grounds. From the moment they met, they pushed each other to be better, faster, and braver, not because they wanted to hurt each other, but because they believed the other was the only one who could truly challenge them. Today was no different. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and earth, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves overhead. Aki, their closest friend and often the voice of reason between their playful bickering, stood on the sidelines, arms folded with a smile. "You two are impossible," she said with a shake of her head. "But I guess that's why you're the best." Naruto and Naruko exchanged a quick glance, their rivalry momentarily softened by friendship. Then, without warning, they both sprinted toward the obstacle course laid out before them, logs to leap, ropes to swing on, walls to climb, and puzzles to solve. Naruko took the lead, her steps light and precise. She soared over the hurdles with a grace that was part natural talent and part hours of practice. Naruto pushed hard to keep up, his raw energy propelling him forward even when his footing was less sure. Halfway through, they reached the puzzle station, 3 symbols carved into stone, glowing faintly in the morning light. Naruko paused, eyes scanning the ancient markings, lips moving as she whispered the old legends she'd studied. Naruto skidded to a halt beside her, panting but smiling. "Need some help?" he offered. Naruko shook her head with a small smile. "Not this time. Watch and learn." With quick fingers, she connected the symbols in the right order, and the stone panel slid aside to reveal a hidden path lined with glowing crystals. Naruto's eyes sparkled with amazement. "That was amazing, Naruko. How did you know?" She shrugged, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear. "A little studying, a little intuition. You've got to be both fast and smart if you want to keep up." Naruto grinned. Challenge accepted. As they ventured down the path together, the rivalry softened into teamwork, each encouraging the other to be their best. This balance between competition and camaraderie was what made their relationship so special. It wasn't just about who won or lost, but about how much they grew. When they emerged back into the sunlight, Aki was waiting with water and a few snacks, her face bright with pride. "You two make a great team, even when you're trying to beat each other," she said. Naruko exchanged a glance with Naruto, then laughed. "That's the secret." Naruto nodded. "Rivalry pushes us to be better. But friendship is what keeps us going." Together, they sat under a tree, sharing stories and planning their next training session. Their rivalry was the spark, but their friendship was the fire that made everything shine. The sun was high over Konoha when something unusual caught Aki's eye at the edge of the training field, a young boy standing perfectly still beside the old mission board. He was dressed in clean, navy blue shinobi clothes with a silver sash around his waist and a scroll tucked neatly under one arm. His posture was straight, and his expression calm, almost too calm for someone their age. Aki nudged Naruto. "Hey, do you know that kid?" Naruto squinted. "Nope. But he's standing like he's waiting for someone important." Naruko raised an eyebrow. "Or maybe he's trying to look impressive. Let's find out." The three approached the boy casually, and he looked up before they even spoke. "You're Naruto Uzumaki and Naruko Uzumaki," he said evenly, his voice polite but precise. "And you must be Aki." Aki blinked. That's us. And you are? He bowed formally. My name is Hoshio. I've just transferred from the Hidden Rain village. I've read the mission logs and ranking scrolls. You two have a reputation. Naruto tilted his head. A reputation for what? Hoshio smiled slightly. For being competitive. Naruko crossed her arms. Is that your way of challenging us? Hoshio nodded once. No offense intended. I believe competition brings out excellence. That's why I'm requesting a joint training session, with you both. Naruto was immediately intrigued. You want to train with us? You're on. Naruko gave a cautious nod. We'll see if you can keep up. And just like that, Hoshio became part of their training circle. From the beginning, it was clear Hoshio was different. While Naruto charged ahead with passion and Naruko calculated her moves, Hoshio observed. He never acted without knowing exactly what he was doing. During training exercises, he would often hang back a step, then finish first using the most efficient, precise movements. He was never rude, never boastful. Just calm. Almost too calm. Naruko was the first to notice something curious. He doesn't smile when he wins, she said to Aki one afternoon. Maybe he's just shy? Aki offered. Or maybe he's trying really hard to be perfect. Naruto had his own thoughts. He's cool, yeah, but he trains like a machine. Doesn't make mistakes. Doesn't laugh. Doesn't even get mad. I don't get it. Still, they couldn't deny it, Hoshio made things more exciting. Their races were tighter. Their challenges more intense. And their teamwork? That had to evolve. Master Hiroto noticed the change immediately. You've grown, he told the group during one of their sessions. You no longer compete for glory, but for growth. Hoshio has sharpened your discipline. And you, he turned to Hoshio, have begun to understand that true strength includes connection. Hoshio looked away, thoughtful. Later that week, they faced their biggest non-combat challenge yet, the Harmony Relay. It was a test of agility, focus, and teamwork. The rule? 3-person teams had to pass through a winding set of challenges while staying within a fixed distance of one another, too far apart, and the course reset. Naruto wanted to lead. Naruko wanted to plan. Hoshio wanted to follow exactly as designed. Chaos? At first, yes. Naruto sprinted ahead. Naruko yelled for him to stop. Hoshio simply stopped moving until everyone else caught up. Reset. Again. Again. Then, Naruko sighed. Wait. What if we stop trying to lead? Naruto frowned. Then what? Aki, watching from the sidelines, called out, what if you act like a team instead of rivals? That stopped them. Naruko exhaled slowly. Okay. We sync up. Naruto, steady your pace. Hoshio, adapt a little. I'll call timing. It worked. They moved like clockwork. Naruko called tempo, Naruto kept them moving with momentum, and Hoshio adjusted with unexpected grace. They completed the course in record time. When they crossed the finish, breathless and wide-eyed, Master Hiroto clapped slowly. You've become more than rivals, he said. You're a unit. Naruko turned to Hoshio. You're not so bad when you loosen up. Hoshio hesitated, then smiled, for the first time. Neither are you. The Lantern Bloom Festival was one of Konoha's oldest traditions, a celebration of peace, friendship, and new beginnings. It marked the first full moon of summer, when the skies were clear, fireflies returned to the forests, and the village lit up with color and light. For Naruto and Naruko, the festival wasn't just an event, it was a challenge. Every year, teams of Genin competed in a series of games, but only those who showed the best teamwork and spirit of harmony earned the final honor, launching the Lantern of Dreams over the village lake. This year, there was a twist. Master Hiroto nominated Naruto, Naruko, and Hoshio as a team. Hoshio blinked. A festival event? As a mission? It's not a mission, Hiroto said with a rare twinkle in his eye. It's a chance. You've trained together. Let's see if you can celebrate together. Naruko grinned. I'm in. And I'm winning the Lantern Cup. Naruto gave a thumbs up. Same here. Come on, Hoshio, don't be shy. Hoshio hesitated. I've never attended a festival before. Naruko's teasing grin faded. Wait, never? He nodded. In the Hidden Rain, we didn't celebrate much. There were too many serious things. Naruto scratched his head. Well, it's about time you did. Aki, walking by with a tray of festival treats, stopped. You're going to love it. Lantern Bloom is about letting go of old burdens and wishing for the future. Wishing. Hoshio repeated quietly, as if tasting the word. That evening, the village center transformed. Paper lanterns in every shape and color swayed overhead. The scent of roasted corn, dumplings, and sweet plum snacks filled the air. Children laughed. Music played. Families gathered. Naruto and Naruko were already in the spirit, challenging each other at every game booth. First, the goldfish scooping contest, Naruko won. Then, the beanbag toss, Naruto barely edged out the win. The scoreboard between them was neck and neck, but both noticed Hoshio lagging behind, hands clasped behind his back, his face unreadable. You okay? Naruko asked, nudging him gently. Hoshio nodded. I'm observing. Nope, said Naruto, grabbing his wrist. You're participating. They dragged him to the mask painting booth. Naruko picked a fox. Naruto picked a frog. Hoshio stared at the blank mask in front of him for a long time. Aki reappeared and sat beside him. You don't have to make it perfect. It's not about perfect, he said quietly. It's about not knowing who I want to be. Naruko looked up. What do you mean? Hoshio hesitated, then finally spoke, softly, honestly. In the hidden rain, I had to follow every order. I was praised for being silent and precise. Here, you're all different. Loud. Bright. Kind. I'm still figuring out how I fit. There was a pause. Naruto set down his brush. You don't have to figure it out alone. We're all kind of a mess sometimes. But we help each other. Naruko leaned in. Pick any color you like. Any shape. It doesn't have to match anything. Just start. After a long moment, Hoshio dipped his brush in soft blue paint. Slowly, he painted a wave across the mask. Then another. And then a single, small star in the corner. He didn't say much, but he smiled. As the festival lights glowed brighter, the teams were called for the final event, the lantern trials. It wasn't about speed or strength, but connection. Teams had to build a sky lantern together, then write a shared dream on it before sending it into the sky. At their station, the three sat around their paper lantern, tools and brushes scattered around them. What should we write? Naruto asked. Become Hokage? Naruko teased. Naruto laughed. That's obvious. We could say, be the strongest team in the village, Hoshio offered, surprising them both. Naruko raised an eyebrow. Did you just suggest something bold? Hoshio looked faintly amused. I've been learning from you. They wrote it together, each letter shaped slightly differently. Then, Aki joined to help light the base. The lantern slowly filled with warm air, growing lighter and brighter. Naruko whispered, 3, 2, 1. They released it, and the lantern floated upward, joining hundreds of glowing dreams in the dark blue sky. For a long while, they watched it rise, standing shoulder to shoulder. You know, Naruto said, you're not just the new kid anymore. Or the quiet one, Naruko added. Hoshio nodded slowly. Then what am I? Naruko smiled. You're one of us. The days after the Lantern Bloom Festival felt different, not just in the air, but in the way Naruto and Naruko moved during training. It wasn't that they stopped competing. Far from it. But now, there was someone new on the field. Someone steady. Someone who didn't race them to the top but still somehow got there at the same time. Hoshio. And he was getting good. Too good. Naruto was the first to feel it. During a three-way sprint drill on the training field, he pushed hard, wind rushing past his ears, sandals pounding the dirt path, but when he reached the finish line, Naruko and Hoshio were already there. And Hoshio hadn't even broken a sweat. Naruto bent over, panting. What gives? You glided like a leaf. Hoshio nodded, calm as ever. Proper breath control. You exhaled too soon on the incline. Naruto blinked. How do you even notice that? Naruko shrugged. He notices everything. Naruto laughed, but it had a nervous edge. Maybe I've been slacking. That's all. But deep down, a seed of something new stirred, insecurity. Naruko noticed too. During target practice, she was used to seeing her name at the top of the score chart. But now? Hoshio was 1 point ahead. Just one. But it was the first time anyone had outranked her since she started keeping track. She didn't say anything at first. But her throws that afternoon were faster, harder, more focused. She didn't want to fall behind, not to Naruto, and not to Hoshio either. The rivalry that once felt playful now had a third current. It wasn't bad, but it was different. No longer just fire against fire, it was fire, wind, and water. One evening, as they rested beneath a tall maple tree after drills, the air quiet around them, Naruto finally voiced what they'd both been thinking. "You ever feel like we're not the main event anymore?" Naruko sat up. "You mean since Hoshio got good at everything?" Naruto scratched his head. "Yeah. I mean, he's quiet, but he's always there. Always right behind us. Sometimes ahead. It's weird." Naruko stared up at the rustling leaves. "We've always been the big energy. Now there's someone calm who balances it out. I don't hate it. But I do feel like I have to try harder." Naruto frowned. "Same. But isn't that what rivalry is supposed to do?" They both turned to look at Hoshio, who was sitting nearby, quietly reading a scroll, the soft flicker of a firefly lighting the edge of the page. Naruto nudged him. "Hey. Do you ever feel like you're changing things too much?" Hoshio didn't look up. "Change isn't bad." Naruko leaned forward. "But do you want to be better than us?" Hoshio finally met their eyes. "No. I want us to be better together. But I don't believe in stepping back to let someone else shine. I believe we rise side by side." That made them pause. Naruto tilted his head. "So you are our rival?" "Yes," Hoshio said, "but not to defeat you. To shape you. And to be shaped by you." For a moment, the weight of that truth hung in the air. Then Naruko grinned. "That sounds like something Master Hiroto would say." Naruto smirked. "Yeah, but coming from Hoshio, it actually makes me want to win again." The three of them burst into laughter, the tension melting. From that day on, the rivalry evolved. No longer was it Naruto versus Naruko, with each trying to one-up the other. It became Naruto versus Hoshio, and, sometimes, the three of them against their own limits. Naruto started training differently, not just harder, but smarter. He watched how Hoshio analyzed terrain, how Naruko broke down problems. He began keeping a notebook, something he once teased others for doing. Naruko, too, found herself learning from Hoshio's restraint. Where she used to rush decisions to stay ahead, she now paused. Thought. Calculated. And Hoshio? He changed as well. He began smiling more. Talking more. He even made jokes, very dry ones, but still jokes. He challenged Naruto to a ramen speed-eating contest. Naruto won, and helped Naruko craft a custom kunai design that balanced speed and accuracy. Their rivalry became richer, less about ego, more about excellence. They still tried to beat each other. They still argued. But the heat of competition now carried something deeper, mutual respect. One day, as Master Hiroto watched the trio run through a timed coordination exercise that had once stumped them, he called out, "What do you call a team of three rivals?" Naruto shouted back, "The best kind of team." Naruko added, "One that never stops growing." Hoshio, calmly and clearly, said, "A triangle. Strong at every side." And it was true. The morning mist curled gently over the hills beyond Konoha as the three young shinobi stood before Master Hiroto outside the village's training arena, a quiet grove known as the Mirror Field, where high-level simulation missions were held. Hiroto's expression was unreadable, but his tone was calm and deliberate. "Today, you'll enter a mission simulation designed to test more than your skills. It will test your ability to work as a team, under stress, under confusion, under shifting goals." Naruto cracked his knuckles. "You got it. We've totally got this." Naruko smirked. "As long as no one goes off script like last time." She sighed at Naruto, who shrugged with a grin. Hoshio adjusted the strap of his scroll pouch. "We should listen to the briefing before making assumptions." Hiroto gave a rare smile. "Correct, Hoshio. Your objective is simple on the surface: retrieve a sealed scroll from the simulation zone and bring it back to this point. But the simulation will adapt to your behavior. If you try to rush, it will scatter clues. If you split up, it will isolate you. And if you argue." Naruto raised a hand. "Wait, argue?" Hiroto nodded. "You may lose access to vital information." Naruko raised an eyebrow. "A test of emotional control?" "Among other things." Hiroto stepped back. "You may begin." As soon as they stepped into the mirror field, the air shimmered like glass. The surroundings shifted into a lush forest clearing with paths leading in three directions. The simulated world was convincing. Wind rustled the leaves, birds chirped softly, and a faint scent of damp moss hung in the air. A glowing orb appeared in front of them, spinning gently with an inscription. One scroll. 3 minds. Only one path will lead. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. That's vague. Hoshio stepped forward. We each choose a path. But only one of us will find the scroll. The others will have to guide them remotely. Naruko frowned. But how will we know which path is right? Naruto snapped his fingers. Let's race through each and find out. Naruko groaned. Or we read the signs first. Hoshio walked toward a nearby tree and pointed. Look, symbols on the bark. Each path was marked. Evergreen tree emoji, left, marked with a feather. Fire emoji, center, marked with a flame. Ocean wave emoji, right, marked with a ripple. Naruto immediately turned toward the center. I'm fire, right? I've got to take this one. Naruko sighed. Then I'll take the ripple. Hoshio nodded. That leaves me with the feather. Before they split, Hoshio pulled a small mirror-like stone from his pocket, a communicator for the simulation. Stay in contact. Every few minutes, we check in. If someone finds the scroll, call for the team. And with that, they went their separate ways. Naruto's path, flame. The trees grew denser, shadows stretching long and low. The path was full of illusions, flames flickering beside him, voices whispering doubts. Naruto pressed on, refusing to be slowed. He hit the first obstacle, a wall of light that shimmered when he approached. Then a riddle appeared. What burns brighter when shared but dies when hoarded? Naruto frowned. Ramen? He laughed, but then paused. Wait. It's light. No, hope. No, friendship? When he said the word friendship, the wall melted away. Naruto blinked. Whoa. That's definitely not the answer I would have guessed on my own. Naruko's path, ripple. Her path led to a calm stream with stepping stones across it. But each time she stepped on the stones, her reflection beneath the water shifted, not hers, but Naruto's and Hoshio's. When she jumped to the middle, a reflection asked her, why do you want to win? She paused. Because I want to prove I'm just as good as anyone else. No, better. No. Wait. She looked deeper. I want to be proud of myself, she said slowly. Even if no one's watching. The water rippled, and the stepping stones glowed. She crossed safely. Hoshio's path, feather. His trail was quiet, filled with open sky and the soft chirping of birds. The obstacle was more abstract, a branching maze with paths that looped endlessly. Every wrong turn brought him back to the beginning. He closed his eyes. This is not a test of direction. It's a test of trust. He pulled out the mirror communicator. Naruko. I'm lost. I need guidance. They answered immediately. Naruko, I remember the feather symbol had 3 triangles. Go left, then right. Naruto, and stop when you see a tree with double knots. I passed one earlier. Trusting their words, Hoshio followed the instructions. At the center of the clearing, he found a pedestal with the scroll glowing atop it. I've found it, he said, his voice steady but warm. Come to me. We finish this together. When the trio regrouped, the scroll in hand, the forest shimmered and dissolved. They were back at Mirror Field. Hiroto stood there, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Well? Naruto said, smiling. Did we pass? You did more than pass, Hiroto replied. You adapted. You balanced instinct with trust. And you learned the key to teamwork under pressure. Naruko smirked. What's that? You weren't trying to win against each other, Hiroto said. You were trying to win with each other. Hoshio gave a quiet nod. Even when we were apart. Naruto grinned. Told you we're the best triangle in the village. And as they walked away from the mirror field, joking and teasing one another, their bond felt stronger than ever, not in spite of their rivalry, but because of it. As the summer turned to early autumn in Konoha, the leaves began to blush gold and red. Training days grew cooler, but for Naruto, and Hoshio, things had never been warmer. Their rivalry, once sharp and constant, had become a quiet rhythm, like the flow of a river around stones. Always moving. Always shaping. Never standing still. One afternoon, the trio met beneath the same tree they'd often used for post-training rest. It was bigger now, or maybe they had grown. The sky overhead was painted with clouds in soft pinks and oranges. The smell of roasted chestnuts wafted in from the village. Naruko leaned against the trunk, arms crossed behind her head. Hard to believe, huh? When we started, all we did was try to beat each other. Naruto stretched out in the grass. You mean all you did was try to beat me? Excuse you, Naruko said, tossing a twig at him. You were the one yelling challenges every 5 seconds. And you answered every one. He shot back. They laughed, deep, easy laughter that came not from rivalry anymore, but from friendship. Hoshio smiled faintly, watching them from his usual quiet spot. You both made me better. That made the other two pause. Naruto sat up. You serious? Hoshio nodded. Before I met you, I was skilled. But I wasn't alive. You taught me how to care. How to connect. I'm not afraid of my own voice anymore. Naruko's teasing grin softened. Well, we are pretty amazing. Naruto held up a fist. We should name ourselves Team Awesome Triangle. Naruko groaned. Please no. But Hoshio, to their surprise, said, it's not a bad metaphor. The three sides. The three strengths. Naruto's heart, Naruko's fire, and Hoshio's calm. They balanced one another, not by becoming the same, but by embracing what made each of them unique. As the weeks passed, something unexpected began to happen. Other Genin started watching them. Younger students mimicked their techniques. Some even whispered that Team Triangle, a name that stuck more than any of them expected, was what a perfect squad looked like. They hadn't won the most missions. They weren't always the flashiest. But they trusted each other. They laughed together. And they brought out the best in one another. One crisp evening, the Hokage herself, Tsunade, called them to her office. She didn't speak right away, just studied them, a small smile playing at her lips. You've changed, she finally said. Naruto blinked. In a good way? In the best way, she said. You're no longer competing to prove something to the world. You're competing to grow. That's the mark of future leaders. She handed them a scroll. This isn't a mission. It's an invitation. The upcoming Peace Summit in the Land of Flowers has requested a trio from Konoha to demonstrate teamwork techniques to students from all 5 nations. Naruko's eyes widened. Wait, you mean us? Naruto whooped. Yes. Hoshio quietly bowed. We'll do our best. Tsunade chuckled. I know you will. The Land of Flowers was as breathtaking as the name promised. Rolling hills blanketed with blossoms. Petals drifting in the wind like confetti. And there, in a huge circular arena built from polished wood and carved vines, shinobi students from every major village sat in eager rows. When Naruto, Naruko, and Hoshio took the stage, the crowd quieted. Naruto looked at the kids. They reminded him of himself, not so long ago. Full of questions, full of doubt, full of that spark. He cleared his throat. Hey everyone. We're not here to show you perfect jutsu or the fanciest flips. We're here to show you how we got better, together. Naruko stepped forward. We started as rivals. Constantly competing. Trying to outshine each other. Naruto nodded. And honestly? That wasn't bad. It pushed us. Hoshio added, but real growth came when we stopped racing against each other and started racing with each other. They launched into their demonstration, not a flashy battle, but a coordinated flow of techniques. Naruto used his shadow clones to form shifting paths. Naruko darted through them with her speed-enhanced kunai. Hoshio created mist illusions and mirrored their movements in perfect harmony. The crowd was captivated, not by power, but by unity. At the end, the 3 of them stood together, facing the crowd. Naruto raised a hand. Being the best doesn't mean standing alone at the top. Naruko grinned. Sometimes, it means standing together with people who challenge you. Hoshio nodded. Because rivalry isn't just about victory. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. The applause was thunderous. And in that moment, under the soft rain of flower petals and the warm sun, Naruto looked at his 2 teammates, the hot-headed girl who once mocked him, the quiet boy who once barely spoke, and realized something. He didn't lose anything by not being the only star. He'd gained something much brighter. A family. A team. A rivalry that didn't burn him out, but lit the way forward. And as they walked off the stage, Naruto laughed to himself and said, still not calling us Team Triangle, though. Naruko rolled her eyes. Hoshio, with the faintest smile, said, too late. And the 3 of them walked into the future, not as enemies, not even just as teammates, but as rivals who had become something stronger than competition. They had become inspiration. Dear YouTube community. That concludes today's content. If you found value in this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel, 6 Path Weeb, for more engaging and insightful content. Thank you for your continued support.